Welcome to another edition of our Fearless Football Forecast. I'm Ronnie Woodward. Here's Tony Castleberry, and there's Jim Gentry. And we have 6 games, first time this season, 6 games to talk about. So we're going to go right at it.
Let's do it.
Game 1, Tony starting us off here. Green Central against Ayden-Grifton.
Yeah, two teams are combined 0-12. Not exactly a marquee matchup, I don't think, but two teams that are going to be hungry, you would imagine. I mean, the longer it goes before you get a win, I feel like the more, at least you would hope, the players want to get one, you know?
All right, what's your pick in that one, Tony?
Ayden-Grifton's at home, and you would think that would give them a little bit of a home field advantage, but the way things have gone, who knows? I think home field advantage might be good for maybe 3 points for them. I'll pick the Chargers.
All right, Jim?
I'm going to go with the Chargers, too. Both teams are coming off a bye, so you can't really go with
Ronnie.
Ronnie's strategy of picking the team coming off a bye. But I'm just going to take the Chargers at home. At some point, they're going to get a win, and this is probably their best opportunity.
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to Ayden-Grifton as well. Conference opener for both teams. As weird as this sounds, it's a pretty weak league.
Yeah.
I think Ayden-Grifton can make some noise. I know Kinston's in the mix as well, but I think Ayden-Grifton gets off the schneid, picks up a win. Jim, next game, South Central, 1-5, traveling to a really good New Bern team.
This is two exact opposites, as opposed to two winless teams on the last one. You got a New Bern team that's kind of on a roll lately.
Yep.
Obviously, a power in the state last couple of years.
Sure.
And then you got a South Central team that's struggling right now, even though they played a little better offensively against Rose last week, put up 40-plus points. You hate to see New Bern on the schedule, having played Rose and New Bern back-to-back. It's just not an easy task, especially when you have to hit the road to go to New Bern.
Sure.
Yeah, are you picking New Bern?
I got to pick New Bern in this one. Just right now, South Central's still struggling. They still have that one win this year. I think New Bern's just going to be a little too much for them, especially on the road.
Yeah, I agree. Going, like you said, Rose and then New Bern, I just don't think it'd be a big upset for Falcons to win. I'm going with New Bern.
Yeah, New Bern's on a 5-game win streak. I think they make it 6 pretty easily.
All right. Next game here, this is an important game, a game that a lot of people will probably be talking about. D.H. Conley is traveling to Southern Wayne. Malik Gorham's returning after a year-long suspension.
Big news.
So yeah, obviously a news story we've covered backwards and forwards for a year now, but he's coming into an offense that's already rolling.
Yeah.
You know, averaging almost 40 points a game, really good running back. So that's the interesting thing about this game. I think Conley wins. I think they're a better team.
Yeah.
But I think the dynamic of how do you implement Malik into the backfield without not messing up what's already going on is interesting. I think defensively he's going to be great in the secondary at safety, but him on offense is something to watch on this one. My pick, like I said, I'm taking the Vikings. The Southern Wayne is 2-4. I think Conley's too much.
Yeah, as you mentioned in your story in today's paper, or I guess that would be Wednesday's paper, Coach Pascal doesn't seem to have many worries about working this kid in. And the thing is, he's kept himself in shape. It hasn't been like he's just been laying around. He's in great shape. I think he can only help that team. I think Conley wins.
All right, Jim.
What a great problem to have.
No doubt.
How do we work in this great town?
Yeah.
Well, I think they'll figure that out pretty easily. I think Conley gets a big win on the road. They keep that rolling. Had a bye week, too, to prepare for this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not good news, I think, for Southern Wayne.
No doubt.
That Conley team's heating up. A matchup with New Bern down the road here, but they got to get there for sure. Tony, next game, J.H. Rose at CBA.
Yeah, speaking of a team heating up, that offense for Rose last week dropping 61 points.
No kidding.
I mean, the Khalil Smith, the quarterback, if he ever does better than that in any athletic endeavor, I think that we'll all be shocked because 7 touchdowns is pretty incredible. That offense is really rolling, and the defense has been good all year, as we know.
Yep, no doubt. What's your pick there?
I think they'll beat CBA Cock. I really don't think it'll be that close. I think the Rampants win.
Okay, Jim?
Yeah, I've got to agree with Tony here. I think we've seen a little slip by the Rose defense.
A little bit,
I think that's something they can correct as well. I think they go on the road and get a huge win. I think they're really clicking on offense now.
No doubt.
Which should be pretty scary for teams that have to play Rose at this point. Because if they get those things shored up defensively, they're going to be a tough out.
Yeah. I'm going with Rose as well. They lost to Conley. But I think they're going to bounce back. I think win 2 or 3 more games here, leading up to another New Bern game as well.
Yeah.
But I'm going with the Rampants. Next game, I think it's Jim.
Yes.
Our order here. There's so many games I've gotten a little off, but Jim. Southwest Edgecombe's at North Pitt.
Yeah, North Pitt's one of those quiet stories. I think they're 5-1. Their only losses to Conley. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
No doubt. I agree.
Has obviously been pretty strong, other than that one loss to Washington. So. I think North Pitt kind of, doesn't mind being quiet, quiet little, not quite underdog, but they don't mind, I think, being unnoticed, and there's just knocking off these teams.
Yeah.
You know, now they get to play at home again. They're kind of got some momentum going. That offense is really clicking right now with Davion Cancel leading the way.
Yep.
Yeah,
Kid can score in a million different ways. They're just a really solid football team right now.
I like the under the radar thing. I think that kind of fits Dave Bowl,
It
the
does.
coaching staff, and all.
Yeah.
They kind of low play how good they are at times.
Agreed.
What's your pick, Jim?
Oh, North Pitt. I know Southwest Edgecombe comes in there 500. It's not going to be an easy game. We're talking about a conference game here, but I don't think North Pitt's offense is going to slow down this week.
All right, yeah, I think the Panthers roll. I think it's closer than last week. They won a blowout, and they've won a couple blowout games. This is a conference opener. I think it's closer maybe, but North Pitt wins.
Yeah, Southwest Edgecombe will come in with a little bit of conference after a big win, putting up almost 50 points last week. I don't think that'll be good enough to beat North Pitt, though. I think they'll win.
All right, last game here. I'll take it. Team that is off, or was off last week. Farmville Central is undefeated, which is still sounds
awesome.
crazy. But
Yeah, it's great.
Going though at Washington, traveling to Washington. This is a game that I think Jim and I kind of pegged a couple weeks ago. That this is kind of the measuring stick for Farmville. They
Yeah.
beat up on maybe some weaker teams earlier in the year. Now comes a Washington team that beat Conley earlier in the year and is, you'd probably say the league favorite in that conference. And
Yeah.
obviously it's a strong team, really good defense. Farmville Central is averaging, around 40 points a game on offense. Washington's given up, I think it's 17, less than 20. So I think that's the matchup is Farmville Central's offense against Washington's defense.
Right.
Is going to be the key to the game there for sure. My pick, I hate to go against the Jaguars, but I'm going with Washington. I think Farmville still is going to win some games this year, but I think Washington's the best team in that league. I think they get it done and they win that game.
Yeah, Washington has a pretty good home crowd, too, from what I remember, having covered a few games there. And they have played a much tougher level of competition than Farmville Central. Let's be honest. I mean, Farmville Central's 5-0, and that's great. I don't think they've played a team as good as Washington all year. So I'm going to have to pick the Pan Pack as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate to make it a sweep, but I'm going to go with Washington as well. You look at the two losses Washington has there to West Craven and Havelock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two pretty well-known 3A teams, and playing at home, and the fact that they came back to beat a really good Conley team,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
says a lot about how tough that Washington team
Yeah.
is. I agree with Ronnie, though. I don't think Farmville's done winning this season,
No,
but
not
I
either.
think this week's just too tough a task. I think Washington gets to win.
All right. So I guess we just gave Farmville the motivation.
Yeah,
That's
but,
right.
bulletin board.
We
It
do you guys a
happens.
favor.
All right. Well, obviously there's a lot of good games out there, so a lot to cover, a lot to see. Check back with us next week. Make sure you get the paper and check reflector.com.